My two best friends and I were tired of our so-called good jobs. We wanted to see what else was out there. So we quit. We got a car, a camera, and decided to drive south. As far south as possible. And this is what happens. Okay, we're in central Mexico, where the roads are crazy.
This is probably the scariest driving I've ever done.
And it rains a lot. We've seen Zacatecas. We've explored underground. Alex lost his passport and his wallet.
Close the windows, it's hailing.
And we went to jail. And now we're in Guanajuato. Our car, as always, is breaking down.
Okay, it's another nice morning in Guanajuato. We still have this car problem. The car is rumbling and we're trying to get out of town, and we're not going to be able to do that until we find a mechanic to get this fixed. So Eric mentioned our car problem when we were at a restaurant last night. The guy at the table next to us gave us a number for a guy named Charlie. We're going to give him a shot on our satellite phone and just pray that this works out. I don't know how this thing works. I mean, how much more sky could we have here? I really hope this guy pans out. Hola, buenos días. ¿Es Charlie? Sí, ¿cómo está usted? Ok, también. Me llamo Brian. Tengo un Nissan Xterra. No sé qué es la problema.
You know, it's one thing to order tacos with my high school Spanish, but it's another thing to try to get something serious done. So, this is Charlie, and we hope fixing the car is easier for him than fitting under it.
El problema es que
The motor's old.
el mofle.
Muffler.
So the noise we've been hearing this whole time is our rusted out muffler. And Charlie informs us that there's no place to buy one in town. Wait, maybe we can fix it with this huge bag of zip ties we brought.
Podemos wrap around?
No, porque esto
Yeah.
es plástico.
Oh,
No, that would catch on fire and kill us. See why we need Charlie? He's nice about it though, and gives us a ride to his junkyard to see if he has any spare parts.
Podemos
Conducir.
conducir este carro a todo de Argentina con este muffler.
He loves cars. He exhibits in car shows, and he's even inviting us to a meetup this weekend.
He said the winner of the competition gets all the chicks, and I think we actually have a pretty good shot with this baby.
Yeah.
Don't know if we can make it though. That's 5 days down the road, and we have to keep moving. I'd like to note that we haven't taken a Spanish class since high school, but we just managed a 20-minute conversation. Go us.
Is it mufle or mufle?
I don't know. I heard mufle.
When you struggle through a sentence and you get it, it feels good. But when you don't even struggle and you just say something that you didn't even know you knew how to say.
Yeah, sometimes a random vocab word from 8th grade pops in my head.
Pops in.
Like comer chicharrones. See ya. Adios. All right, we've descended down the mountain. We've returned to our two favorite ladies, and we're really excited to eat their albondigas, meatballs. ¿Tiene albondigas hoy?
So here's a classic Mexico thing we're getting to see. Mijo, go down to the tienda and get me some tortillas. Our Guanajuato grandmas ran out, and we are definitely gonna want some. So let's go to the tortilla shop. It's no wonder our ladies ran out. They're so ubiquitous, papers report the price of tortillas like they do a gallon of gas.
Muchas gracias.
The meatballs are delicious, and hot, fresh tortillas might be indescribable. As much as we'd like to stay and savor Guanajuato, it's time to continue on. But this stop has made us way more excited to see what comes next. We spend our last night in town away from the crowds, back in what now feels like our neighborhood.
Let me ask you, which side of the tunnel is this?
This is our special side. We're the only real tourists that we've seen on this side of town.
We were low on money before we left the US, but luckily for us, eating like locals is cheap and delicious.
We're not gringos. We're blending in with the locals.
'Cause, 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 'cause
It's early. We're leaving Guanajuato and we're in the country. As always, we're low on cash, so we're gonna eat on the side of the road. You gringos can keep your fancy resorts. Anyway, driving shots, road trip, etc. You know how these parts go.
What do we got?
Oh, galletas, cookies.
From who?
From a guy who was just walking casually with a chef's hat through traffic that's literally at a standstill. And we have no idea where we are in Mexico because we lost our directions.
So we don't know that we're in Mexico City. It seems like Mexico City because it's
Yeah.
the biggest friggin' city I've ever seen. But we've been stuck in traffic, and the worst kind of traffic is when you don't even know if you're in the right place.
This traffic is making us feel like we're back in New York. And Brian's right. That can only mean one thing.
All right, Eric, where are we?
Mexico Ciudad, also known more commonly as DF, the capital of Mexico. There's been a lot of traffic, and we didn't really know where we were going, but eventually Brian navigated us there, and here we are, right downtown in the center with some high-rise skyscrapers, just like New York.
Yep, big, bad Mexico City. It's actually really green and fancy.
DF is our oyster for the next few days. They have a city bike program here. Wow.
We assumed it would look like Monterey, just bigger, but this is massive and modern.
Okay, I think the bells are done.
It's really going to town in there.
All right, I'm gonna do my best impression of a travel TV host now with some basic facts that I learned on the internet 2 hours ago. We are in, the Zocora?
I'll just take over for Brian here. The Zocalo is Mexico City's main public square, and it's huge. That flag is 25 meters long. It was the center of Tenochtitlan, where the Spanish met the Aztec king Moctezuma. The Spanish tore down the central Aztec pyramid and built this city right on top of the rubble. Today, you'd never guess it was the epicenter of a genocidal apocalypse.
Mexico City!
I really don't know what to be looking at.
No, well, there is a way to know what we're looking at. There's plaques everywhere, but in order to get inside, we have to pay $4, and we're on a tight budget.
Okay, so we're not going in though, but we found a tour guide right here speaking English.
Our next free learning stop is the Colonial Government Palace, which is now a history museum.
Once again, sitting in on another person's tour because we're not getting one ourselves.
Unfortunately, our plan didn't last long. These paintings have way too much going on, so we finally got a tour guide.
This is too epic. A collage of every single thing I've ever seen in my life on one wall.
We got their wisest, oldest, and hardest to understand guide. He might as well have been speaking Spanish. In fact, we might have understood him better. I suppose this is what we deserve for trying to eavesdrop on other tours.
We're learning something. We just don't know what it is. How does this compare to New York?
It's actually very similar.
We came to Mexico City thinking it would be different, but instead, it's looking more and more like New York, except in Spanish.
We're on the Avenue of the Dead, Calle de las Muertes. How cool does that sound?
So
Muy cool.
The similarities to New York end about 30 miles outside the city at a place called Teotihuacan. This was the center of the Aztec civilization in 450 AD, whose power reached all the way to Guatemala.
Now, this so far has been really spectacular, but the most incredible thing that we've seen so far has been all of these guys walking around all over the place, making these hilarious little tiger noises.
We're gonna buy one, and we're gonna be growling for the rest of this trip. Oh, nice, Alex.
That view just doesn't get old.
By the 1st century, this city had a population of more than 125,000 people. In comparison, London had half that at the same time. And it's really amazing. Archaeologists are still finding stuff.
What's crazy is there's still no one knows who built all this and how it all ended. Where are they now?
Whoever built this city predated the Aztecs. In fact, it was already ruins when the Aztecs found it. They had crazy astronomic knowledge, considering they didn't have telescopes. And it took crazy advanced math to engineer these rooms with secret underground tunnels.
So when the Aztecs actually saw these pyramids, they believed that these were tombs to giants.
Maybe it's the exhaustion of climbing the pyramids talking, but being here is a powerful experience. You forget about the crowds and imagine it thousands of years ago, at the heart of a mighty and mysterious civilization that did things no one else could do. Seeing things like Teotihuacan are making this trip extra special.
Brian, what are you doing?
Putting on my Sunday best.
Okay, it's about 7 in the morning, and I don't know where Brian and Eric are, but I met a bunch of really great girls at a bar. Now I'm at their apartment somewhere in Mexico City. I don't know where. I'm leaving the city in 4 hours. I'm supposed to get back, and I don't have money for a cab.
Okay, it's Sunday morning, about 8 in the morning. Ended up leaving the club with a girl, so that was great. But the downside is I'm now in a city of 21 million, and I have no idea where Alex and Eric are.
So I haven't slept in 24 hours, and we're trying to leave the city in like 3.
I'm supposed to have first shift at the wheel, so I've slept about an hour. It's too early for this.
Brian and Alex are both stumbling back in at the crack of dawn.
Good morning.
Looks like I was the only one that didn't get lucky. There's one last thing we want to do before we leave, and that's see the city from the top of the tallest building in downtown. One of the girls I met was telling me that they call Mexico City the Infinite City. It's constantly changing, and anything you can imagine exists here somewhere. There's all this history and nature conflicting with development, all in one crazy place. I hope we can come back someday, because this city is one of a kind. We love Mexico City, but as always, it's time to keep moving. And, as usual, we don't know where to.
Okay, so we are kind of at a critical decision point.
While we were in Guanajuato, we were actually invited to a car show. And it sounds really awesome, but it's back in Guanajuato. And we can't get in touch with the guy who invited us.
If we can get him on the phone, I bet he'd say, yeah, come on.
He definitely would.
He would definitely, yeah.
The prospect of hanging out with all these regular people in Guanajuato is a cool idea, but we don't know if it's still going on or if we'll even find Charlie. It could just be a 10-hour mistake that costs us a ton of gas money. We decide it's worth the risk, and we head back to Guanajuato.
We're following Charlie down the hill right now. It turns out that the car show was canceled and rescheduled for next weekend, but he instead just invited us to like come out with his friends.
So I have no clue what we're looking at, but I know it's nicer than what we have in our
Pequeño de presente para ustedes.
Oh, muchas gracias. Un regalo para nosotros de Charlie.
Free t-shirts and beers. It pays to be friends with a mechanic. We're gonna decline to actually drag race because we've already spent enough time in Mexican jail. For short notice, this is a cool car show. At least, we assume it is. We've never been to one.
That was sweet.
That was sweet.
Great.
I feel like we haven't been making progress for a week. We've been driving back and forth from Zacatecas to Guanajuato, to Zacatecas to Guanajuato, to Mexico City, back to Guanajuato, back to Mexico City. It's been ridiculous. But alas, we're finally on our way south to Oaxaca.
We're finally driving again. We just need to quit getting lost and pulled into Mexico City's supermassive gravity.
Wow. Oaxaca be kidding me, I tell you what. I remember seeing this word in my 7th grade Spanish textbook and saying, that sounds like a cool place.
When you were in that class, did you think you'd be driving down here one day?
Never.
The open road feels great. We're on our way to the city of Oaxaca, and when we get there, we have to find a campsite that we looked up at the last internet cafe.
Oh, hello. Are we supposed to camp here?
Okay, so the campsite is just a dead-end road with man-eating cows. We think maybe we read the directions wrong, so we're going back a ways to try a different direction. And before we know it, we're lost deep in the woods. It's actually impressive how lost we can get.
Okay, here's the situation. Skies have gotten very dark, lightning, rain is starting to come down, and we passed a little taco stand, decided to get some tacos, and I asked the woman who's making those tacos, is this rain gonna be quick or is it gonna be going all night? And she said, lluvia fuerte, it's gonna be very strong rain. And so if we're driving on those roads we were just getting stuck on to get to this campground, those could easily be flooded.
Someone finally ends up pointing us back to town.
Okay, and here is our parking lot, campsite for the night.
So, first thing in the morning, our lot guy starts feeding us, which is great, and then he just continues to feed us.
I'm in heaven right now.
Oaxaca is considered Mexico's culinary capital,
Still finishing off that helado from our new boy, Pablo.
and that's all we do today, just explore the markets and eat everything.
This is so good.
Oh yeah, it's cheap too. We know we're gonna regret this later, but it's just too good.
Well, this looks interesting. I'm gonna try it.
Eric is in line right now for a massage from this shaman guy. Little does Eric know that this is actually a digestive massage. It's to cure constipation. Eric didn't read the sign or couldn't read the sign. Eric is going to have a long night in the bathroom if this guy does his job right. So let's let Eric enjoy his massage and we'll see how it treats him.
How'd it feel?
Felt great. I feel relaxed. I feel a little de-stressed.
So now we're walking around letting our guts settle, looking for something to do other than eat. We see this dance group and think that would be a fun way to interact with the locals, except it might be a challenge because we really just want to dance with these hot girls. And they say, yes, but do you know how to dance? So, to dance with hot girls, you have to first learn how to dance with dozens of middle-aged ladies, and then one serious instructor. In our heads, we are making amazing progress. But when we take a step back and look at each other, we realize everyone in the circle is just pity dancing with us.
You've got a guy screaming dance commands at you in a language you can't hear.
It was fun. I don't care how
We
stupid
do this every Monday and Thursday nights right here on the streets. We just walked up and it was fine.
It was fun.
Love these guys.
After we give up dancing, I get an email from my job back home.
Eric, what's going on?
I just got an email from my students. I sent them a video earlier in the week telling them that I miss them and that I hope they do a great job on their tests and stuff. And the other teacher just sent me all these like PDF messages from like 12 or 15 of them, and they say stuff like, "We miss you, come back and help us with math." Oh my God. Dear Mr. Messenger, where are you? I wish you were still teaching us. I hope you're having a good time. You helped me get confident in myself. When are you coming back? I really miss you. I hope you see me go to the next grade. You are my favorite teacher.
I'm crying.
I miss my students like crazy, but there's just no turning back until we get to the end of the world. And I don't know when that'll be.
All right.
On top of missing my students, the shaman digestive massage kicks in and pollutes the air inside the tent. Brian and Alex had plenty of opportunity to warn me about the shaman, so now they'll suffer with me.
Oh, God. Oh.
It's hot out here in Oaxaca.
It's gotta be over 90 degrees, no cloud cover.
That's why we're buying these matching hats.
There's a new sheriff in town.
So everyone knows we're cool, stylish best friends. We're moving on to the next town, and it's still hot as hell. We could use a drink, and since we're in Mezcal country, stopping at a distillery is a no-brainer. We expect it to be modern and machine-driven, but mezcal is made the labor-intensive, old-fashioned way.
So you plan out how much mezcal you're gonna make 8 to 10 years in advance?
Actually, yes. This is our cooked agave. Very sweet.
I can eat this?
Yes.
It tastes like mezcal.
It's 850 kilos in here. So what we get is the steam.
The steam is the
It's the mezcal.
The gritty hard work comes through in the drink. This stuff is strong.
Oh yeah, I really like this.
So, here's a spot where we have no clue where to go next. We give the mezcal some time to wear off while we check out this enormous tree. And then we move on.
I wonder how far out its roots go.
Maybe all of Mexico.
We have to nail down a plan for nightfall to avoid night driving. But it's hard to come up with a plan because this town isn't even on the map. When we try and pass through, some cops pull us over. All I know how to do in this situation is smile and nod. All right, false alarm. Believe it or not, the cops are just trying to invite us to their party.
Can't really understand too much, but this is a small town with strong customs, lots of celebrations, and from what I've gathered, we're going to church. I think we're invited.
Everyone's pumped for whatever this celebration is, so I guess we'll be too.
So this is a 9-day festival that started at 7 o'clock tonight. We happen to be driving down the exact road that this festival begins for 9 days, so we just had incredibly good timing.
It's called Santa Cruz a Milpas. It's their Holy Cross Day celebration. We're not completely sure what that means, but it beats just driving all night.
I don't know what's happening now, but I guess we're gonna have to find a seat.
Of course, it's not as complicated as we're making it out to be. Delicious food, good people, music and dancing, and throwing things off the roof.
We are bracing for impact. T-minus 2 minutes.
Everything from candy for the kids to laundry baskets and broomsticks. No item is safe.
I'm on top of the Iglesia!
Pelting people in the head with household goods is a hilarious and unique form of generosity.
I got to see it from the beginning, from the rooftops, all the way until it came into the ownership of someone new. It's a beautiful cycle.
It's things like this that distinguish our adventure from your everyday vacation. This experience is something that you won't find sitting poolside at a resort in Cancun. You have to dig deep and leave the beaten path, but when you do, it's so worth it.